Welcome to Threads of Enlightenment, a podcast devoted to helping you overcome challenges in your life that prevent you from becoming the best version of yourself. Each episode features interviews with people from all walks of life about their journey of self-development and the principles they utilize to overcome their fears to achieve their desired outcome. Ready to be enlightened? Here's your host, Ken Primus.
Welcome to Threads of Enlightenment. As usual, I love to take my time right here and welcome our guests because I know that they're coming with a couple of things I deem very expensive, their time. What a precious commodity. And you guys have heard me say it over and over again. How you respect and how you honor time will tell us a lot about who you are. Because if you recognize her and how valuable she is and how precious she is, you will behave differently. The other is that journey. That journey is a powerful creator. It created the individual that is before us. And we want to thank her, Kayla, for coming and sharing both of these precious commodities here with us at Threads of Enlightenment so that we can gain some wisdom, insights, and knowledge and become better while we are here on this planet called Earth. Thank you so much for coming to Threads of Enlightenment. It is an honor. I cannot wait for our conversation because I know that there's a lot of people out there, families, couples, and stuff like that, that needs you, and that's why you're here. And so, on the onset of my interviews, I usually ask everyone this question: how do you serve mankind? Because I think it's a beautiful question. Yeah. Yeah, guys, it's this life. I want to inform you, listeners, I want to inform you there are times that you will be able to do it on your own, and there's times that you need your tribe, and you will need to have that tribe to support you and to walk you through. And that tribe comes in many different forms: counselors, therapists, friends, family. However it comes, bring it in, go to them, and because there are times that we need to have them in our space. One of our customs here is to go back in time. We jump into this time machine called a memory and visit a couple of spaces that we reside for a few years, and those spaces each have their own programming, if you will, and programmers. The first space that we visit is mom and dad's house. It's called a house or home. And this place is mom and dad is a stranger to you. We know that mom and dad have been through some trauma because everyone on this planet goes through that. And they have their perception, their belief system based on those type of traumas. What was your family like? Yeah, 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 Yeah. 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 Wow. Can I ask a question, Kayla? Do you remember how old you were when that anxiety, what was the genesis of it, if you can remember, when it entered into you um, as a young girl? Yeah. 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 I think in some cases, I think it even may start in the womb because that baby, that individual, that soul, the spiritual piece of that individual is aware of things. And we are living in a energetic world, a field, energetic field. And so the arguments, the anger outside while you were residing within mom, you were sensing all of that. Mom had it, so you were familiar with that energy. And sometimes some people are just born with it because they're familiar with it and they've been in um, this holding area, if you will, growing and expanding and picking up everything that is happening around them. And when they come out, they have already been traumatized. And it usually starts manifesting later on as they're growing and they see that it'll just pop up. So here's this girl within her being, and what was her relationship to others? Were you based on this anxiety that is a part of you and part of your being at such a young age? How did you relate to friends out and people outside of your family? Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. 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 How did this anxiety, Kayla, transition to um, eating disorder? How did that migration happen in your mind? What was it that you saw that led you towards that direction and to began to acquire an eating disorder? Yeah. 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 Hmm. Yeah. 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 That's a powerful explanation of yeah, what happened and how. Because I ask these questions, Gail, because I want the audience to get a grasp that we're being programmed all the time, all day long, and one must learn how to navigate through that in life, especially when we come in here on the onset. We have the house, as I mentioned, the programmers are there. Mom and the culture that is, both of them were on the pressure, all of those programmers, their behaviors, mindsets, all that stuff. And then we have society as a whole that programs us all day long, how those programs, as far as the looks, and we see these girls on TV and movies and whatever, that's a societal program as to an image that is, to all the girls and the young people that they're preaching it, this is reality, but in reality, it is not reality. It is one of the most dangerous programs out there to um, destroy someone's self-worth, if you will, when you are looking at all of the different ways and how they program us. So here's this young girl dealing with some tremendous and powerful things in her life. She's looking towards college. What was that conversation about heading into that direction? Um, which college, which field of study did you pick, Kayla, and why did you pick that particular field of study? Hmm. Yeah, 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 hmm, yeah, Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. That that is awesome. I love it. It's really fascinating sometimes how we end up where we do end up, and the story behind that is really, really good stuff. And that's one of them. So while you were in therapy, and you said you had really good therapists, and it was an intense program that you were in at that time. What were some of those things that you started to understand and see about you, and what were meaning some of those mindsets and belief that you had acquired as you're moving through life at that time, and what tools did they offer you to help you to move through from one area to another? Yeah. Yep. Yeah. 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 Wow. Hmm. Yeah. 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 That is awesome. Trauma, guys, and I use this example many times, um, because trauma is when something happens to an individual, a young one. I give the example of a child coming to mom or dad asking, the child is excited, wanted mom and dad to come play with them or something like that. They approach mom and mom and dad are very busy. They're literally was busy doing something and they couldn't get away. And they may have turned to that little one and said, no, I can't do that right now. And the individual interprets that conversation based on that young person's interpretation of that statement that mom and dad made. That child became traumatized from that simple statement, benign as it is from the mom and dad, has just devastated that child because that child will interpret that as rejection and all these other things like that that are heavy, that mom and dad may not have meant that, but that was the perception that that child had. And that trauma of rejection is just as devastating as any other ones that we try to quantify because of how brutal someone was treated. Every one of us are traumatized, and how it affects us is based on us. And so we can't really quantify it, but we have to acknowledge that, yeah, I was traumatized, but we try to make it wasn't that bad like all the other people have, and but it was to that individual because it governed their life for 20, 30 years, and they made decisions, belief, and all that stuff around that. So here you are, you in there as far as studying, and you switched, you saw the field, your eyes were open, and you're like, yeah, that's where I want to hit. How did that transition to marriage counseling and therapists like that? Because that has nothing to do basically with that. It just has to do with standing before people. What happened, Kayla, that caused that switch from pursuing general therapists, if you will, towards a more specialized area focusing on marriage and individuals within that? Yeah, yeah, Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. 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 I think that is such a sensible approach to counseling anyone, but especially couples, because most of the behavior has a foundation, and most of the things that we are seeing is if you want it's not the root. We're seeing the leaves and the fruit and all that kind of stuff. We're not getting to the core of it. And I think your approach seems to me the best approach that one would need to do and approach a individual, but also as a couple. And then when they unearth those, especially someone like yourself that has gone through so much, and recognize the importance of starting from childhood and bringing it into the present and seeing how those traumas, those decisions made as a child affects and all decisions today which bear fruit and in this argument, if you will, and none of them have an idea where it came from or how it came, but once you are in a room where you're able to experience the security, the safety to open up like you did when you were in your therapy for that time. That to me, Kayla, is a powerful approach. And all of you guys that are listening, the couples and even singles that are wanting to prepare for marriage, you can provide Kayla's information so you guys get to her. And I hope you guys are listening and you heard the explanation of her approach. And I think when you approach a situation to that degree, one will always find the answers and bring bring you through that pain. So here you are. I love that approach, Gil. I really do. So here you have this group comes in, and we know that they're traumatized, both of them, from whatever situation. I know you have to do a root cause analysis from the conversations that you're having with them. When they present to you, how do you usually approach that couple as individuals? Because we know, number one or maybe both of them didn't want to be there. We know that there are a couple of scenarios that they're just burning and losing it at their head, and they're in your office, and now you have to bring some peace and calm within that situation. What is your approach, quote unquote, on day one when that couple presents to you? Yeah, 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 is it in some case, again, it depends on the person sometimes. Which, let me put it this way, which sex is more hesitant in going back in the past and on covering the the genesis of one's behavior and mindset, and how we uh, our modus operandus, if you will. Uh, which ones are more easy than others if there is such a distinction between the two, the male or the female? Yeah, 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 yeah. And how here you have this couple, and again, it's a um, versatile situation, and they're seeking help, and you have all the different things. How do you assist them in developing their communication skills, if you will? Because you still got to talk to each other. They got to go home. maybe try and be quiet in the car, don't want to talk to them, and all this kind of stuff, all the different things, because it is, and your approach, as I said, I believe it is the right approach. And so coming out of that office, there's some sensitivity there, there's some openness, there's some vulnerability there, there's all kinds of that there. How do you now assist this team, this group, this husband and wife, to open those communication channels so that they can maintain, if you will, that conversation, the openness, and all of the other things? What were some of those tools and approach that you supply them, if you will? Yeah, yeah, that is powerful advice. All of you that have been listening to us, and as I mentioned, we are going to provide all of Kayla's stuff for you guys to get access to her. I would suggest strongly that all of you that are couples and having some issues to get in touch with her. You single folks that are thinking about getting married and need to go and excavate some of those things that you may not know that you have that are could be detrimental to marriage. Get in touch with her as well, so you can learn of you and excavate all of those unknowns, if you will, and to change your life. And so I love her approach. This was the first person within the space of marriage counseling that I've heard express or enunciate their approach. And I think is the best thing I've ever heard. how they approach things. And so I just want to encourage you guys to get help if you need it. And Kayla is qualified and capable to get you that help because she's been through some stuff, guys, and she's learned some things that can assist you to obtain your freedom so that you can have a more harmonious relationship with yourself and with your spouse. And so, Kayla, I want to thank you so much for coming to Threads of Enlightenment. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Threads of Enlightenment with Ken Primus. Hopefully, you're now feeling more empowered to overcome the challenges in your life, whatever they may be. Share that inspiration with others by telling them about this podcast, rating it, and of course, remember to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. For more connection, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching for Threads of Enlightenment. Until next time, stay enlightened.